Hi everyone, welcome back to Expert Travel with Erin. I have just come back from a lovely vacation in the US Virgin Islands, specifically St. John, representing, and I got asked even before I went by colleagues and some family friends who are aware of the US Virgin Islands and specifically St. John, and they know it is more expensive, and they asked how we can afford to go. So in talking with my family, we came up with 6 kind of tips overall that help us and can help you afford to go to St. John. So St. John is the smallest of the US Virgin Islands. There's St. Thomas, St. Croix, and St. John. So one of the most expensive parts is the flight down there. So the first tip we have is to leverage any airline loyalty that you have, wherever it's American Advantage, United. If you have a credit card with a specific airline and you get miles, that's a really great way to help the biggest upfront cost in getting down there. And you will fly into St. Thomas. You cannot fly directly into St. John, and then you'll have to take the ferry over. So that's something else that you have to consider. Now, the next biggest tip, my family likes to go in December, January, February, and these are the more expensive months. So if your dates are flexible for a USVI vacation, specifically St. John, the cheapest month to go is going to be May. You'll get great weather without like the peak season pricing for the vacation homes and the resorts. Next, the power in numbers. I have never gone to St. John without a larger group. We go and split a vacation rental. We split rental cars, specifically Jeeps, and that way we can find it very affordable. So, and, we'll split groceries as well. But after, we decide all who is going, the next thing is locking in your lodging early. 8 to 10-ish, 11 months out is when we like to ensure it. That way, everybody kind of wants their own bathroom, or if not their own bathroom, not everybody's sharing a singular bathroom. That's just what we prefer. Depending on the group you're going, talk about your must-haves for your vacation rental when you're doing that. And then there's like the payment plans that come with vacation rentals, and we all split. The next is, we have done this since I was a kid, and now that I'm a mom, super helpful for the USVIs, is you can take food down with you and to the island. So we will pack our checked luggage with non-perishable items, pastas, rices, chips, snacks. I take my son's juice boxes because they're just more expensive on the island. They have to import all of that. And a couple of times we have vacuum sealed and frozen things like carnitas and cooked meats, and we'll put some ice packs in them in our checked luggage specifically. So those are kind of our tips. The last kind of one is to always rent a vehicle on St. John. We always rent a Jeep just because it is a very mountainous island, and renting that Jeep is going to help you get to the beach early, beat the crowd, and beat the cruise goers when there are cruises in port on St. Thomas or St. John. So those are kind of the 6 tips to how we afford it and how we go. I've written a longer piece on my blog at experttravelwitherin.com. I will link it below. If you have any questions about St. John or the US Virgin Islands in general, I've been going since I was about 8, almost every year or every other year until I became an adult, which we've gone every other year. So I'm happy to answer questions and help you go to the islands and experience the natural beauty of St. John.